Honorable Speaker, congratulations on your election as the 8th Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, on whom falls the greatest responsibility of guardianship of the authority of this House. I do wish you well and commend that you submit to the will of the House. As you assume the office and embark on discharging the duties of the Speaker, I trust that you will find this set of past rulings by your predecessors most useful. Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Go.
I want to go there. Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, congratulations. Please do take charge of your House now. Honorable members, the Honorable Speaker presiding.
I see. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, the Clerk of the National Assembly, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to the honorable members here assembled for the high honor that you have bestowed upon me by electing me as the Speaker of this august House. I accept and submit to your will, and I'm ready to serve as the 8th Speaker of the National Assembly since our independence. I commend all the citizens who expressed interest in becoming your Speaker by formally returning their nomination papers and laud the efforts of my worthy opponent in today's election, the Honorable Kenneth Marende, who also happens to have been one of my distinguished predecessors, having served as the 7th Speaker. My other distinguished predecessors include Sir Humphrey Slade, the Honorable Frederick Mbiti Gideon Mati, the Honorable Moses Kiprono Arap Keino, the Honorable Professor Kimetet Arap Ngeno, the Honorable Kausai Francis Xavier Olekaparo, and my immediate predecessor, the Honorable Justin Beda Njoka Muturi. I am internally humbled and extremely privileged to now occupy this hallowed seat. Honorable members, when I look at you and visualize the grueling campaigns you have all undergone, I must say that I am proud of all of you for ultimately making it to this house a dream for everybody. I commend you. I'm delighted to note that over 55% of members of the last parliament have been re-elected. Of this category, 24 of you served in the previous parliaments. Your re-election demonstrates the confidence that the citizenry has in the leaders that they elect to this house. Spurred by this, we should therefore be confident that if we are true to our oath or affirmation of office and responsive to the needs of our people who are sovereign, we will always be the people's house. Allow me at this point, honorable members, to single out and congratulate part of the leadership of the last previous parliaments who have made it back to this house. These include the Honorable Aden Duale, who was the leader of the majority party in the 11th Parliament and the larger part of the 12th Parliament. My felicitations also go to the Honorable John Mbadi, the immediate former leader of the minority party, and his former deputy minority leader, the Honorable Robert Mbui. Permit me too to recognize the Honorable Farah Maalim, who served as the Deputy Speaker in the 10th Parliament. My congratulations also extend to the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, the immediate former Majority Whip, the Honorable Junet Mohammed, the immediate former Minority Party Whip, and the Honorable Jessica Mbalu, a former member of the Presidium. I welcome you back to the service of this House. Honorable members, the National Assembly of the 11th Parliament had 68 female members. That number increased to 76 in the last Parliament. Today, this 13th Parliament has seen the number rise to 82, with 29 women having been elected to represent single-member constituencies. This increase is a significant step towards achieving the aspiration of the gender parity in representation as desired by our 2010 Constitution. I wish to single out the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, who is now serving her 4th consecutive term. I salute you, Member for Suba North, for your resilience and continued service to our nation. Particular mention also goes out to the Honorable Lynette Toto Chepkorir, Member for Bomet County, who at the age of 24 is the youngest member of the 13th Parliament. Mheshimiwa, you are a great inspiration to the youthful leaders of this country, and we wish you well. I'm also reminded of the premium that our society now places on the leadership qualities of persons living with disabilities when I see seated in this chamber the Honorable Timothy WETANGULA, my young sibling and a leader in his own right. He now commences his 3rd term consecutive as a member of Parliament and is ably joined by the Honorable Rose Museo, serving her 2nd term, the Honorable 3rd term, the Honorable Joseph Samal Lomwa, who was here before and has come back for a 2nd term, the Honorable Jackson Kipkemoi Kosgei, and the Honorable Martin Pepela Wanyonyi. You are a great inspiration and a beacon of inclusive leadership in our great country despite the odds. Honorable members, I also do recognize and acknowledge the Honorable Samuel Moroto, the Honorable Adan Kainan, the Honorable Gonsirai, who are currently embarking on their 5th terms, thus becoming what we refer to in the parliamentary parlance as the fathers of the House. Their parliamentary experience shall enrich the deliberations and output of this House. Honorable members, for those who served in the 12th Parliament, you will recall that the standing orders were reviewed before the final adjournment of the House. Notably, the standing orders now allow for co-sponsorship of legislative proposals and bills by members. Members of this House shall also be able to co-sponsor bills with senators and vice versa, where an unidentified member shall be in charge of steering debate on a Senate bill in this House. This, in my view, is a progressive addition to the procedures of the House. Honorable members, the revision of the standing orders in the 12th Parliament also increased the number of the committees of the House. New committees include the Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers Committee, the Public Petitions Committee, the Public Debt and Privatization Committee, and the Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee. These changes and many others to the standing orders shall strengthen and streamline the workings of Parliament. Honorable members, my predecessor, the Honorable Justin Muturi, in his acceptance speech after being re-elected as Speaker for the 12th Parliament, undertook to implement a paperless system in the House. This was in line with the strategic pillar 4 of the Parliamentary Service Commission Strategic Plan 2019 to 2030 on the implementation of an e-Parliament by automating and digitizing all systems and processes. In this regard, I urge you all to be friends with the electronic gadgets in this House and in the committees. Honorable members, speaking of the Honorable Justin Muturi, what many of you may not know is that he's not just my predecessor. He was my roommate at the University of Nairobi, at the School of Law. He was also my classmate. He is my age mate and a long-time friend. We made our debut in Parliament together in the 7th Parliament. We were appointed earlier in our years as magistrates on the same date. Indeed, I do not know whether to call it fate, sheer coincidence, or maybe it's God's plan, but whatever it is, our paths in life have always met, and today they meet again. Indeed, although once in a while we have found ourselves in different political sides, our friendship with the Honorable Muturi goes back many years, and I'm therefore honored today to take over from my dear friend. Honorable members, the Honorable Justin Muturi shall be remembered for the great legacy and reforms he leaves behind, and you do not have to look further, just look around. Members who have previously served in this House can attest to this. Members of the 13th Parliament shall move into the new modern offices in the tall brown building you may have seen at the corner of the Parliamentary Square, a project that was well executed under Honorable Muturi's leadership. As the chairperson of the Parliamentary Service Commission, he has left behind an excellent and professional parliamentary service. His communications and rulings on various constitutional, practice, and procedural matters were landmark, novel, and rich in jurisprudence. I could go on, but all I can say, he did a great job for this House and this country. Honorable members, I am particularly honored that for the first time in the history of Parliament, the Honorable Justin Muturi has also set a precedent through a symbolic and formal handover process that you just witnessed when I was declared the Speaker. This is not only honorable, but it is an act that shall remind us for a long time of his great leadership style. The symbolic handover process by a Speaker should indeed be part of the traditions of this House, and it is a practice we should carry on. Having said this, join me now in applauding the former Speaker of this House, the Honorable Justin Muturi. Thank you. Honorable members, the author Gary Levy, in the book Speakers of the Canadian House of Commons, notes that presiding officers in the Commonwealth customarily relinquish their right to participate in debates. Put differently, despite the title, a Speaker does not speak but allows members to speak and presides over debate in the House. I'm aware that the Constitution precludes the Speaker from voting on any question proposed for decision in the House. But as your Speaker, I'll let my work speak for me. Honorable members, in this 13th Parliament, I undertake to prioritize two key issues. These are enhancing public trust in this House and the institution of Parliament, and nurturing and upholding comity between our two houses and between the National Assembly and other arms of government, with particular attention to our judiciary, which has often appealed for reasonable consideration by the legislature. Honorable members, the Constitution states that the authority that has been assigned to you and I under oath is a public trust. Hubert Humphrey, the 38th Vice President of the United States of America, is quoted to have stated that, I quote, "Anyone who has ever been elected to public office understands that one commodity above all others, namely the trust and confidence of the people, is fundamental in maintaining a free and open political system." In assuming our respective offices in this House, we are under a constitutional obligation to discharge our mandate in a manner befitting the offices that we have been entrusted to hold. As your Speaker, I undertake to strengthen public trust in the institution of Parliament. I will be keen to midwife, through the Parliamentary Service Commission, live broadcast of committee proceedings and the full operationalization of Bunge TV channels to highlight the work done by this House and its members. In addition to the live broadcast of chamber proceedings, I will support efforts to further actualize the provisions of Article 119 of the Constitution on petitions made to the House by adequately facilitating the work of the new Public Petitions Committee. To my mind, ensuring meaningful access to the House will, like a transparent glass, make Parliament more visible, disrobed of the mystery that people might perceive of its processes. Honorable members, my second assurance to this House is that I will actively maintain committee with other constitutional bodies, promote consultation, and cultivate healthy relations with the bounds of our Constitution, within the bounds of our Constitution and our governing statutes. In the exercise of our oversight functions over state offices and public bodies, I will strive to ensure that all material information necessary for the work of Parliament is availed in a timely fashion by the persons in the National Executive ultimately responsible to this House. I shall strictly enforce the requirement enshrined under Article 153, 3 and 4 of the Constitution, which requires Cabinet Secretaries to attend before the committees of the House to exhaustively answer questions and give full and regular reports on matters under their control. Honorable members, indeed, as some of you may be aware, I served in this House as a member as from the 7th Parliament, and I therefore fully understand what it is to be one of you. I have also been a senator, and hence I also fully understand what it is to be a sibling brother. I have served in the executive as a minister and assistant minister in different portfolios. I have led various reforms to the rules of procedure of this House during the 7th Parliament, and was the head of the delegation of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific EU Union Joint Assemblies, and internationally, I'll continue building on the long and rich relationship we have to not just with the ACP-EU, but also the East African Legislative Assembly, the Pan-African Parliament, regional integration bodies, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and the International Parliamentary Union. Suffice to mention, honorable members, that the standing orders you enjoy using today with the committee system were drafted by yours truly, the late Bonaya Godana, Julius Sunkuli, whom I believe has been re-elected to this House, and one Bishop Kimani, then Member of Parliament from Nakuru. Honorable members, I have worn many hats, but one of the greatest leadership lessons I carry with me to date is that a leader is a servant of the people. I live by the great words of the 22nd and 24th U.S. President, Grover Cleveland, who served between 1885 to 1889 and 1893 to 1897, who once said, and I quote, "Office holders are the agents of the people, not their masters." These words always ring true to me, and hence moving on, I will be your servant and your agent. My eyes shall be keen to see and listen to all of you. My office will not be an ivory tower, it will be accessible to all of you. I understand to be impartial and promise to see to it that you are able to effectively discharge your constitutional mandate. I am fully confident of building on the past successes of this House and charting new paths that will lead us to more glory and maintain this House as the pride of all Kenyans. Honorable members, I wish to inform you that the National Assembly has organized an induction retreat for all members of this House, which will take place from 18th to 24th September 2022 at a venue to be communicated in due course. This retreat will be a great opportunity for you to thoroughly acquaint yourselves with your mandate, parliamentary processes, and the secrets and tools that will give you a head start as in serving your electorate. I encourage you to attend all these sessions. Honorable members, I wish to commend the acting clerk of the National Assembly and her able team of officers for the successful conduct of the pre-swearing-in orientation last month. The acting clerk has informed me that more than 95% of the members turned up for this exercise. This is a clear sign of your passion to discharge your constitutional mandate, and I encourage all of you to maintain that enthusiasm to serve our people. Honorable members, as I conclude, I unequivocally submit myself to the collective will of this House and reiterate my singular desire to serve with the impartiality, fidelity to the Constitution and the laws of this land, our standing orders, practices, precedents, and traditions of this House. I thank you all. God bless Kenya. God bless our Parliament. Honorable members, I now direct the clerk to read the next order and proceed with the steps necessary for the election of the Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Order number 4, election of the Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I have the following report to make as a returning officer on this order. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces notified this first sitting of the National Assembly of the 13th Parliament, White Gazette Notice number 10527 of 2022, dated 5th September 2022. Pursuant to the provisions of Article 1062A of the Constitution, the office of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly became vacant when the previous holder, as a member of the House, vacated the office under Article 103 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, in exercise of the power conferred by Standing Order number 13, I notified the general public of a vacancy in the office of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, White Gazette Notice number 10530 of 2022, dated 5th September 2022. I additionally publicized the declaration of the vacancy by advertisement in 3 newspapers of national circulation. In the notice and the advertisement, I invited interested persons who qualify to be elected as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly in accordance with the Constitution to submit their nomination papers for election as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. The following 7 persons collected nomination papers from the office of the Clerk of the National Assembly between Monday, 5th September 2022 and Wednesday, 7th September 2022. 1. Robert Gishimu Githinji. 2. Farah Maalim. 3. Gladys Jepkosgei Boss. 4. Farah Yusuf Mohammed. 5. Moses Gushine Kirimi. 6. Paul Otiende Amolo. 7. George Peter Opondo Kaluma. Honorable Speaker, as per the Gazette notice and the advertisement, a person who collected nomination papers was required to submit the completed nomination papers together with their curriculum vitae and the relevant supporting documents to the Clerk of the National Assembly in Committee Room Number 7, Main Parliament Building, not later than 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, 7th September 2022. The office of the Clerk of the National Assembly remained open on Monday, September 5th, 2022, from 2:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Tuesday, 6th September 2022, from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., and Wednesday, 7th September 2022, from 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., for purposes of both collection and return of nomination papers. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, at the close of the nomination period, the following 3 persons had submitted their nomination papers for election as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. The Honorable Farah Maalim, the Honorable Gladys Jepkosgei Boss, and the Honorable George Peter Opondo Kaluma. Further, Honorable Speaker, I wish to notify the House that I received a letter from the Honorable Dr. Otiende Amolo, dated the 7th of September 2022, conveying the withdrawal of his candidature for election as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Article 106 of the Constitution and Standing Order Number 5 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, the 3 members who returned their nomination papers qualified as candidates for election to the office of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. And again, I repeat, they are the Honorable Farah Maalim, the Honorable Gladys Jepkosgei Boss, and the Honorable George Peter Opondo Kaluma. Accordingly, Honorable Speaker, I published and made available to all members the list showing the 3 members qualified as candidates for election as the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly in the ballot to be conducted during the 3rd business of the 1st sitting of the House. Honorable Speaker, I wish to also notify the House that I have since received a letter from the Honorable George Peter Opondo Kaluma, dated today, 8 September 2022, conveying the withdrawal of his candidature for election as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. His decision therefore compels me to invoke the provision of Standing Order 8 on withdrawal of a candidate, which provides that, and I quote, a candidate may, by written notice to the clerk, withdraw his or her candidate or her name before the ballot is started, and in the event of such withdrawal, the clerk shall cross out the name of that candidate off any ballot paper issued for that or any other subsequent ballot. Accordingly, Honorable Speaker, I therefore would like to request that the name of the Honorable George Peter Opondo Kaluma be crossed out before the issuance of the ballot for the election. The provisions of Standing Order Number 13 provide as follows, and I quote, the procedure for electing a Deputy Speaker shall, with necessary modifications, be the same as that prescribed for the election of the Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for the record, Standing Order 6 provides as follows with regard to the voting procedure where more than one candidate qualifies to stand for election as Speaker. The election of Speaker shall be by secret ballot. The clerk shall at the commencement of each ballot cause the ballot box, empty and unlocked, to be displayed to the House, and shall, in the presence of the House, lock the box, which shall thereafter be kept in the full view of the House until the completion of the ballot. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, each honorable member will be issued one ballot paper at the table and proceed to cast his or her vote at the voting, to mark his or her vote at the voting booths. Ballots shall be issued by the officers to the members on either side of the House. A member who wishes to vote shall mark his or her ballot paper by placing a visible mark in the space provided beside the name of the candidate he or she wishes to vote for. Thereafter, the member should fold the marked ballot paper before leaving the booth and deposit it in the ballot box. A member who, before conclusion of a ballot, has marked his paper in error may, by returning it to the clerk, obtain another in his place. The first ballot paper shall be marked cancelled and shall be destroyed. Honorable members, when it appears to me that all members who are present and who wish to vote have deposited their ballot papers in the ballot box, I shall unlock the box, examine the ballot papers, and having rejected those unmarked or spoiled, report the results of the ballot. May I also notify honorable members that a member who shall not have already recorded his or her vote after I have unlocked the ballot box shall not be entitled to do so. The counting of the ballots shall take place in the presence of all members and members appointed as agents or representatives by the candidates. Each candidate is allowed a maximum of one agent for purposes of the ballot. Honorable Speaker, in line with the requirements of Standing Order 7.1, a person shall not be elected as Deputy Speaker unless he or she is supported in the ballot by the votes of 2/3 of all members during the first round. I would like to remind the House that this 2/3 threshold is not a constitutional requirement, as I had said earlier, and it was never the intention of the framers of the Constitution to say that it has to be 2/3. Otherwise, it should have been clearly stated. It is a procedural step to ease the election of a Deputy Speaker on the first round of the ballot. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 7.2, in the event that no candidate is supported by votes of 2/3 of all members after the first round of voting, the candidate who receives the highest number of votes and the candidate who receives the next highest number of votes shall alone stand for election in the second round. The candidate who receives the highest number of votes in the second round shall stand elected as Deputy Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to remind the House that this particular voting is by secret ballot. Members are not allowed to display their marked ballots to the House, the galleries, or any other person. If it is brought to the attention of the returning officer that a member has displayed his or her ballot paper, it will be considered a spoiled vote. Members from the media fraternity are also reminded to observe Rule 3C of the Broadcasting Rules, which provides that wide-angle shots of the chamber shall not be used during voting and division, and no shot shall be taken. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, may I repeat? Wide shots of the chamber shall be used during voting and division, and no shot shall be taken so as to show the manner in which a member has voted in any secret ballot. Honorable members, we have set the voting booth next to the dispatch table. There are 4 voting booths on each side of the table. Members on the right side of the Speaker will cast their ballots in the voting booth on that side of the table, and vice versa. Having explained the voting procedure, I now wish to ask the Chief Sergeant at Arms to go forward to open the ballot box and display it to the honorable members. Honorable members, you have witnessed for yourself that the ballot boxes are empty. I will now request the Chief Sergeant at Arms to close and lock the ballot boxes. After the ballot boxes are closed and locked, the next step before we start to call out the names of the members to come and vote is for the candidates to appoint agents. I will start with the first candidate, who is the Honorable Farah Maalim. Mheshimiwa, do you have an agent? All right. I see. All right. I see the Honorable TJ Kajwang. I now move to the Honorable Gladys Jepkosgei. Boss?
The candidate, the agent is here.
Okay. I see the Honorable Dr. Robert Pukose. And the agents have already stepped forward. Honorable Speaker, may I now ask my officers to prepare to call out the names of honorable members in the order I stated earlier. When the name of an honorable member is called, please make your way forward and pick your ballot paper and vote. We'll accord priority to the 3 senior members of the House and members with disability. And voting will start now.
Are they ready? Duale Adan Bare, Ngongo John Mbadi, Maalim Farah. I wish you can. Mumo Rose Museo, Wetangula Timothy Wanyonyi, Lomwa Joseph Samao, Masara Peter Francis, and Kosgei Jackson Kipkemoy.
Dia dia mata.
I'm reminding him,
Chumel Samuel Moroto, Rai Samuel Gonzi, Welie Adan Kenan. Ahmed Shakil Ahmed Shabir, Hassan Abdi Yusuf, Kunjuri Festus Mwangi, Lekuton Joseph, Mbiuki Japheth Meriti Kareke. Odhiambo Mili Grace Akoth, Sirma Musa Jerutich, Wanjara Rafael Sauti Bita.
Sa Joroge anaitana. Enda Joroge. Enda. Si wanapanga laini.
Nduyo Susan Ngugi, Nduyo Susan Ngugi, Abdurrahim Dawood, Arama Samuel, Aramat Lemanken, Badibadi Twalib. Bowen David Kangogo, Chege Sabina Wanjiru Maito, Chepkonga Kiprono Samuel, Chesebe Kapondi, Francis Kajwang Tom Joseph, Gakuya James Mwangi. Ikaria David, Gimose Charles Gumini, Ichongwa Anthony Kimani, Ijendi Moses Malulu, Kaluma George Peter Opondo, Kanchori Elijah Memusi, Kiaraho David Njuguna. Kihara Jane Wanjiru Njeri, Kingola Patrick Makau, Kibiwot Julius Meli, Kipiegon Johanna Ngeno, Kombe Harrison Garama, Korere Sara Polata.
Koye John Waluke, Koyo James Onyango, Lagat Benjamin Kipkoril, Balu Jessica Nduku Kiko, Boko Mishi Juma Hamisi, Boy Robert. Mohamed Junet Sheikh Noor, Mohamed Junet Sheikh Nur, Mule Stephen Mutinda, Mulu Makale Benson, Musau Vincent Musioka, Naika Johnson Manya, Nanok Daniel Epuyo. Nyamai Recho Kaki, Nyikao James Wabura, Ochieng David Ouma, Odanga Geoffrey Magoa, Odwor Christine Obaka, Ogola Gideon Ochanda, Owor Joshua Aduma. Kosing David Losiako, Ukose Robert, Raso Dido Ali, Robbie Mathias Nyamambe, Shibwa Omar Mwinyi, Sitati Daniel Wanyama, Shinyali Bernard Masaka. Sudi Oscar Kipchumba, Sunguli Julius Lekakeni, Wahome Alice Mudhoni, Wadai James Opio, Wangwe Emmanuel, Wanyonyi Ferdinand Kevin. Chelule Liza Chepkoril, Lesuda Josephine Naisula, Wajira Martha Wagari, Aburi Lawrence Mpuru, Muya Wajiku. Oundo Wilberforce Ojiambo, Abdullahi Bashir Sheikh, Adagala Beatrice Kahai, Akuja Protas Ewasit, Alpha Miruka Odieki, Amolo Po Otiende, Atandi Samuel Onunga.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. The clerks are requesting, and I direct that if you have not been called, please remain in your seat so that we don't have too much crowding at the voting table. If you have not been called, resume your seats and wait for your name to be called. Then you come and cast your ballot.
Bada Salim Veso, Baya Owen Ya, Benzimba Rashid Juma, Buyu Rosa Akinyi, Chege John Kiragu, Chepkonyi Charity Kadambi. Gashombe Samuel Kinuthia, Gadhiru Mejodang Benjamin, Gitari Joseph Gashoki, Gitau Faith Wairimu, Githinji Robert Gishimu, GK George Masharia Kariuki. Gogo Lilian Achieng, Guyo Ali Wario, Hassan Kulo Mahalim, Iribae Said Buya, Tagesi Kivai Hanest Ogesi, Kaangara Joseph Buru, Kalasinga Joseph Simiyu, Kamene Joyce. Kamuren Charles, Kandie Joshua Chepigon, Karani Stephen Washira, Karemba Eric Muchangi, Kasalu Irene Mudhoni, Kasait William Kamket. Katana Po Kahindi, Kemei Justice Kipsang, Kemero Maisori Marua, Kimani Francis Kuria, Kimilu Joshua Kivinda, Kingara Simon Nganga, Kirima Moses Gushine, Kitty Richard Ken Chonga. Koech Nelson, Kosgei Hilary Kiplagat, Kwenya Dhuku Zakari, Lentonchoni Jackson Lekumondare, Lochakapong Peter. Luyai Caleb Amisi, Mawadhe Julius Musili, Bai Nimrod Bidhuka, Mizigi Lydia Aika Mnene, Mohamed Ali, Momanyi Innocent Obiri, Mogina Jerusha Momanyi, Muchira Maiko Mwangi. Muhanda Helsi Bushile, Muiruri Mudhama Stanley, Mukwana Titus Kamala, Muli Fabian Chule, Muliungi Gideon Mutemi, Murugara George Gitonga, Muridhania Ridikiri Mugambi,
Mtua Didmas Wekesa Barasa, Mutunga John Kanyuidhia, Mwakuona Danson Mwashako, Mwale Nicholas S. Tindi, Mwalika David Mboni. Mwanyanje Gertrude Mbeyu, Mwirigi John Paul, Nabulindo Peter Oscar, Ndungu George Koimburi, Nganga Alice Wambui. Ngikolong Nicholas Ngikor Nixon, Nguna Charles Ngusia, Njoroge Mary wa Maua Waidhira, Mtwiga Patrick Munene, Nyamita Mark Ogola. Nyamoko Joash Nyamache, Nyenze Edith Vethi, Nyoro Samson Ndindi, Nzambia Thaddeus Kidhua, Nzengu Paul Musimi. Nzioka Erastus Kivasu, Obara Eve Akinyi, Obo Ruweida Mohamed, Odege Tom Mboya, Odhiambo Elisha Ochieng. Odoyo Okello Jared, Oku Edward Kaunya, Okwome Andrew Adipo, Oluoch Anthony Tom, Omboko Milemba Jeremia. Omwera George Aladwa, Ongili Babu Owino Paul, Onyengo Silvanus Osoro, Otucho Mary Emaase, Owino John Walter, Owino Martin Peters. Oyula Joseph H. Maero, Pasaris Esther Mudhoni, Paul Abuor, Risa Sunkuia George, Sanei Ibrahim Abdi. Sholei Gladys Jepkosgei Boss, Shurie Abdi Omar, Sitienei Janet Jepkemboi, Tandaza Kasim Sawa, Tongoyo Gabriel Koshal, Tonui Joseph Kipkosgei, Wachira Rahab Mukami, Wamashukuru James Gidhua Kamau, Wambirianga Catherine Nanjala. Wamshomba Gadhoni, Wangaya Christopher Aseka, Wanjiku John Juguna, Waweru John Kiarie, Were Charles Ongondo, Yegon Brighton Leonard, Yusuf Adan Haji, Elache Beatrice Kadeveresia, Wako Naomi Jilo, Sergon Florence Jematia, Abdi Ali, Abdi Hamis Chome, Abdurrahman Hussein Mohammed, Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdi, Abdullahi Amina Dika, Aburi Donya Doris, Ali Abdisirat Khalif, Barasa Patrick Simiyu, Barongo Nolfason Obadia, Bare Hussein Abdi, Barto Phyllis Jepkemoi, Basil Robert Ngui, Diego Paul Kibichi. Bisau Morris Kakai, Bonaya Mumina Golo, Busia Ruth Adhiambo Odinga, Bwire John Okano, Caroline Jepto Ngelechei, Chebor Paul Kibet, Cherorot Joseph Kimutai, Chiforomodo Mangale Munga, Chimba Zamzam Mohammed, Dinar Joseph Hamisi, Double N Pamela Njokinjeru, Emathe Joseph Namuar, Farah Yusuf Mohammed, Gachagua George N, Gichohi Gakuchia John Philip, Gichohi Kaguchia John Philip, Gichuki Edwin Mugo, Gisairo Cleve Ombane, Guyo Ade Wario, Hamisi Kakuta Mai, Haro Abdul Ibrahim, Harun Suleka Hulbale, Ikana Frederick Lusuli. Ikiara Dorothy Mudhoni, Iraya Joseph Wainaina, Idhinji Dr. Shadrack Mwiti, Jaldesa Guyo Wako, Jeho Fatuma Abdi, Jihanda Zahir, Kagiri Jane Wangeshi, Kagombe Gabriel Gaduka, Kahugu Eric Mwangi, Kailemia Elizabeth Karambu, Karauri Ronald Kamwiko, Karidho Kiili Daniel, Kasiwai Rael Chepkemoi, Kemei Beatrice Chepngeno. Kode Felix Odiwor, Kiamba Susan Ndunge, Kibagenti Anthony, Kihungi Peter Irungu, Kilel Richard Cheruyot. Kipkoech Gideon Kimaiyo, Kipkoros Joseph Makilap, Kiplagat David, Kipngor Ruben Kiborek, Kiprono Mutai Alfred, Kirwa Abraham Kipsang, Kitany Mary Ann Jebet,
Kitilai Olentutu, Kitur Bernard Kibor, Koech Victor Kipngetich, Komingoi Kibet Kirui, Korir Adams Kipsanai, Yakub Ado Kuno, Kururia Elijah Njore Njoroge, Lelmengit Joseph Kipto Kosgei, Lenguris Pauline, Letipila Dominic Eli, Linet Chepkorir, Logova Sloya Clement, Titus Lote, Manaiba Julius Taitumu, Machele Mohamed Sud, Maina Betty Njeri, Maina Jane Njeri, Maina Mwago Amos, Makali John Okwisia, Mamwacha Onchoke Charles, Manduku Daniel Ogoka. Manduku Daniel Ogoka. Marubu Monica Mudhoni. Matiso Fatuma Hamisi. Madenge Duncan Maina. Mayaka Irene Nyakerairo. Mnyazi Amina Laura. Mogaka Stephen. Mohamed Abdikadir Hussein. Mohamed Aden Daudi. Mohamed Umul Khair Harun. Mohamed Fatuma Zainabu. Mukaya Nyakundi Jafeth. Mrembo Irene Joki. Mugabe Innocent Maino. Muge Cynthia Jepkoskei. Mukunji John Gitonga Mwaniki. Mulanya Geoffrey Ekesa. Mule Caleb Mutiso. Munyore Joseph Kamau. Mupe Anthony Kenga. Muratha Ann Wanjiku Mugo, Muriu Wakili Edward, Murumba John Chikati, Mutuse Ekomas Mwengi, Mwafrika Augustine Kamande, Mwalio Joshua Mbivi Mutua, Mwangi Godfrey Wandeto, Mwangi Teresia Wanjiru, Mwenje Mark Samuel Muridhi, Nabii Nabwera Daraja, Nabuin Paul Ekwom, Namoit John Atiko, Nduyo Susan Ngugi, Nabat Bernard Muriuki, Ngitit Cecilia Asien, Nguro Onesmus Ngogoyo, Omanyo Catherine Nahabi, Omondi Karoli, Orero Peter Ocheng, Oron Joshua Odongo, Osero Patrick Kibagendi. Osoro Bensuda Joyce Atieno, Oyugi Dick Maungu, Pareio Agnes Mantaine, Ruku Godfrey Kariuki Kiringa, Ruto Julius Kipleting, Sakimba Parashina Samuel, Salasia Pitia Kalerwa, Sankaire Lea Sopiato, Shake Peter Mbogo, Sheikh Umulkhair Kasim, Sigei Francis Kipiegon, Siad Amina Udgun, Sioi Lilian Chebet, Tonkei Rebecca Nonanshi, Toroitich Timothy Kipchumba, Tubi Bidu Mohamed, Tungule Charo Kenneth Kazungu, Wainaina Anthony Njoroge, Wainaina Michael Wambugu, Waidhaka John Mashua, Wamboka Nelson Jack. Wanyonyi Martin Pepela, Yakub Farah Salah, Yegon Richard Kipkemoi,
Honorable Speaker, it appears to me that the last ballot has been cast. However, before proceeding to count the ballots, if there is any member who has not voted, he or she may now step forward and vote. Is there any member who has not voted? Okay, fine. Proceed and vote. Yes. Okay. Is there any other member? There are. Okay, okay. Honorable members, is there any other member who has not voted? There is? Or there isn't? I see now that there is no other member who has not voted. I would like now to request the two agents for each of the candidates to come forward, and I can see one of the agents. Okay, they are there. So that you can witness the counting of the votes. And I now order that, with the permission of the Speaker, I now ask that the ballot boxes be unlocked for examination of the ballot papers. I also ask that each of the ballot papers be examined. Officers, please proceed to do that now and count and tally the votes.
That side is where you ring me from. So okay, so you are. I am discovered. I've discovered here is where you ring me from. Sasa hapo ukinishinda, sasa tutasalimiana.
Ile grupu yangu ni nyingi.